today's lecture, we turn to the highest frequency in the radio spectrum. These are ultra-high frequency, super high frequency, and extremely high frequency. Together, these bands are more commonly referred to as the microwave radiations. Today, we'll investigate the sources of microwave radiation and its different uses in everyday life. At the end, we'll discuss a somewhat controversial topic. Should we be concerned about the radiation from mobile phones? The frequency of microwaves are in the range of 300 MHz to 300 GHz, and their wavelengths range from 1 meter to 1 millimeter. As with other radio waves further down the spectrum, natural sources of microwave radiation are the sun and other sources in outer space, like the cosmic microwave background. Let's now investigate how we use microwaves in everyday life. You may be familiar with many of these uses. Both natural and artificially produced microwaves are used in remote sensing or the process of scanning the Earth in order to obtain information about it. These include satellites or high-flying aircraft. There are two kinds of remote sensing, passive and active. Passive remote sensing instruments observe microwaves originally from the sun that are reflected back from the Earth's surface. These are used mainly to track weather systems. For example, have a look at this image of Cyclone Gita, taken from NASA's Global Precipitation Management satellite. Microwaves are better than infrared remote sensing for this purpose, because they can penetrate clouds and fog. On the other hand, active remote sensing uses microwave radar. These send out pulses of microwave energy and measure what is reflected back. Other man-made applications of microwaves are used in point-to-point communications. This is where communication occurs between two nodes, such as mobile phone calls, in local Wi-Fi networks, and satellite communications. Microwaves are commonly used in speed radar, and, as you know, they are used for cooking in microwave ovens. You may have heard various myths about microwave ovens causing harm in some way. There's rumors that they destroy all the nutrients in food, or worse, they give you cancer by making the food radioactive. Well, these are just not true. Microwave cooking is very safe. The microwaves cease to exist once the power is turned off. They do not stay in the food, and they certainly don't make the food radioactive at all. In fact, they don't change the structure of the food in ways that are any different from conventional cooking. Microwave ovens use a device called a magnetron to generate intense microwaves, which are reflected off the metal walls inside the oven. These microwaves are then absorbed by the water molecules in the food, causing the water molecules to vibrate and produce heat, which cooks the food. Most studies show that there is no loss of nutrients from the food, no more than conventional cooking methods. In fact, cooking vegetables in the microwave oven has been shown to be healthier than boiling them, as long as you don't use too much water. The main drawback to cooking in a microwave oven is that the food does not heat evenly. Because of this, undesirable microorganisms can sometimes survive in portions which do not heat properly. You can overcome this by stirring partway through the cooking or allowing standing time for the food to come to an even temperature. There is also a lot of public concern over radiation from nearby mobile phone base station antennae or from the use of mobile phones themselves. Let's investigate some of these claims. Remember that radio waves, including microwaves, are not ionizing. They do not have enough energy to break chemical bonds and destroy body tissues or DNA. The only health effect found so far from radio frequencies is that they can potentially increase the body temperature by more than 1 degree Celsius. However, this would only occur from exposures to very strong fields found in industrial facilities where radio frequency heating is used. The strength of radio fields is highest at their source, and it drops off very quickly with distance. The levels of radio frequency exposure from base stations and wireless networks are therefore so low that there is no significant body temperature increase and no effect on health. Anywhere that radio frequency strength is likely to exceed international exposure limits would have to have restricted access. And in fact, compared to radio waves from base stations, the body actually absorbs up to 5 times more radiation from FM and TV broadcasts. This is because their wavelengths are more comparable to the height of a human. In short, our bodies make efficient receiving antennae at those wavelengths. There have been various studies carried out to try and determine whether mobile phone use is associated with brain tumors. In 2011, the World Health Organization found that there is no hard evidence for increased risk of brain tumor associated with mobile phone use. However, that study did show that there might be a slightly increased risk of glioma among the highest users, those who use mobile phones more than 30 minutes per day over the last 10-year period. However, biases and errors in this study made the results inconclusive. The authors recommended further research into the effects of heavy use of mobile phones over the long term. Likewise, the results were controversial among the scientific community. Some researchers criticized the methodology used in that study. Other studies have found an increased risk, in particular of glioma associated with long-term mobile phone use, i.e. more than 10 years. So, does mobile phone use lead to an increased risk of cancer? Probably not. However, more research is needed in this area. However, just a tip. If you talk a lot on the mobile phone, just put the phone on speaker or use a headset instead of holding the phone to your ear. This can reduce the brain's exposure to the small heating effects of microwave radiation. So that wraps up our lecture on microwave radiation. What did we learn? Well, like other radio waves in the earlier part of the electromagnetic spectrum, microwaves come from the sun and other cosmic sources. We use natural and man-made microwaves for many different functions in everyday life, from remote sensing to track weather patterns on the Earth, to cooking or communications with others over mobile devices. Microwaves are not ionizing, so they don't have enough energy to break chemical bonds in our bodies and make us sick. However, they do have a heating effect, and we should therefore take precautions if we work closely with instruments using microwaves for prolonged periods of time.